to another episode here in the Cozy Kitchen. Today we're going to be making a pasta dish that is perfect for this time of year. It's pumpkin season. We all know that. And today we're going to be making a dish that is super comforting, super hearty, and super appropriate for the time that is now. We're making a creamy pumpkin pasta with spicy Italian sausage. This dish is one of my favorite pasta dishes to make all fall long. I'm talking like September 1st. It's perfectly balanced, it's comforting, it's hearty. It'll just make you feel good. It's one of those pastas you want to curl up on the couch. You put on your favorite fall movie. It's crisp and cold out, but you're not cold because you got this delicious pasta going. So let's get right to the process of making the pasta. Just to give you an idea of what's going on right now, I have one large pot filled with water. That's going to be for our pasta. For today's pasta recipe, we're going to be using rigatoni. It's one of my favorites, especially for like a nice hearty winter pasta. That's what we're using today. You're also going to want a saute pan with a little bit of depth to it. This is the dish that we're going to not only cook our spicy Italian sausage in, we're also going to want to be using the same pan for both the spicy Italian sausage and then later on, the sauce for the pasta. Once you have your pans ready to go, the very first thing that you're going to want to do, you're going to want to make sure that in that saute pan, you cover the bottom with some olive oil. Once the bottom of that pan is filled with olive oil, we're going to raise the heat to medium high and let that pan get nice and hot while we chop up our onion. For this recipe, we're going to be using one small sweet onion. And then once our onion is chopped, we're going to throw in our onion into the oil and get that nice and soft. You're going to want to make sure that your onion is really finely chopped. We're going to throw the chopped onion into the pan with the oil, hit it with just a little bit of kosher salt, a little bit of pepper, give it a little mix, and let that cook for a few minutes. After about 2 to 3 minutes, add in 1 tablespoon of garlic powder, as well as a half a cup of white wine and 1 tablespoon of Calabrian chili paste. Just to continue to let that onion soak in. The onion is going to cook with the ground turkey and we're going to bring it to that spicy Italian flavoring. Let that onion continue to cook with the white wine, the Calabrian chili paste, and the garlic powder. And as that onion continues to soften, I have about 6 basil leaves here. I'm going to just chop them up really finely, throw them in with the onion. I just threw my basil in with the onion. We're going to allow that basil to infuse the oil a little bit. So as the onion and the basil continue to saute, you can get your other ingredients ready. You might be wondering, how are we going to get that nice pumpkin-y flavor for that pasta? Today, we're going to be using pumpkin puree. So I have 1 can of pumpkin puree, pumpkin puree, pumpkin puree. Say that 5 times fast. The pumpkin puree is going to be used for our creamy pasta sauce. So once we're done cooking our spicy Italian sausage, we're then going to throw in our pumpkin puree and begin the delicious creamy sauce that's going to accompany our rigatoni and our spicy Italian sausage. For now, you can just grab your can of pumpkin puree, open it, and have it ready to go. My onions and my basil have absorbed about half of the oil and the white wine that's in that pan. Now is the perfect time to throw in your ground turkey. Now this recipe calls for 3/4 of a pound of ground turkey. You're going to want to hit it with our seasonings: thyme, fennel seed, oregano, salt, pepper, and a little bit of smoked paprika. Once you hit the turkey with the seasonings, just make sure it's spread out nice and even in that pan. We're going to toss it a few times. Keep that heat at medium high and allow that turkey to continue to cook. Now is a good time to bring that pot of water to a boil. So let's turn that heat on to high and bring that water to a boil. Right before the water starts to boil, we're going to add in a generous amount of kosher salt. As that ground turkey continues to cook and our water comes to a boil, you're going to want to get out some of the additional ingredients that we're going to need for the sauce. That includes 2 tablespoons of unsalted butter, mascarpone, and a half a cup of milk. Today, I'm going to be using non-dairy oat milk. You can use regular milk as well. I'm just using what we have already in the house. Whatever you have, just make sure there's no flavor to it. Some nice grated Pecorino Romano is going to be one of the final touches to our pasta before we serve it. So I have 1 block of Pecorino Romano. We're going to want to grate a half a cup of Pecorino Romano. My spicy Italian sausage is cooked and ready to come out of the pan. So with the spoon, you're just going to want to have a bowl and put that spicy Italian sausage into the bowl. I have my spicy Italian sausage here. It just came out of the pan. We're going to set that aside and then we'll bring it back in once our sauce comes together. In that same pan, I added 1 tablespoon of unsalted butter. We're going to turn that heat down to medium. As soon as that butter begins to melt, you're going to want to throw in your pumpkin puree and your 1 cup of milk that we have set aside. Once the milk, the pumpkin, and the butter are all sort of coming together in that pan, you're going to want to add in a pinch of kosher salt, as well as a 1/4 of a teaspoon of dried sage and an 1/8 of a teaspoon of nutmeg. As the pumpkin begins to absorb that milk, we're going to add in the additional tablespoon of unsalted butter, as well as our mascarpone cheese, which we already have set aside. As the mascarpone and the butter continue to melt, you're also going to want to get out 3/4 of a cup of frozen green peas. The peas are a nice addition, not only to add a little pop of color, but also some additional protein to the dish as well. Once the peas are in that saute pan and mixed in with that pumpkin mixture that we have going, you can then turn the heat to low. Once that pasta is al dente, we're going to throw the pasta in with the pumpkin and the peas. Right before we throw in that pasta, though, we're going to throw back in our spicy Italian sausage. One optional topping at the very end that I like to add to this dish are some chopped walnuts. This is completely optional, but I like to. You're just going to give them a nice fine chop, and then we can sprinkle them right on top along with some Pecorino Romano and then eat. My pasta is just about cooked, so I'm about to throw in my spicy Italian sausage into the pumpkin. Right before you take that al dente pasta out of the water, get a coffee mug. We might use some of the pasta water just to loosen up the sauce a little bit. So make sure you get a nice coffee mug, dip it into that cooking pasta, grab about a 1/2 cup of water, and just keep that on reserve. The pasta is al dente and about to come out of the water. As you continue to mix that pasta in, make sure you turn your heat off and then just let the pasta kind of absorb the sauce, the cheese, the juice, everything that we have going on in that pan. To that pasta that just came out of the water, we're going to add 1/2 of the Pecorino Romano that we grated, as well as the juice of 1/2 a lemon. Once the pecorino and the lemon juice are on the pasta, give it a nice toss, and then it's really up to you. If you wish to add a little bit of that pasta water just to loosen the sauce up a little bit, you can do so. We're about to serve it. I have my chopped walnuts here. I also have my reserved Pecorino Romano. We're just going to hit it with a sprinkle of some finely chopped walnuts, some of the Pecorino Romano cheese that I've already grated. I'm also going to chop up just a few fresh basil leaves, sprinkle that on top, and then we eat. Here we have it, guys, my creamy pumpkin pasta with spicy Italian sausage. This is one of my favorite pastas to make, especially this time of year when you just want to stay in and enjoy a nice, comforting bowl of pasta. Try this one for yourself. I can't wait any longer. It's dinner time here. I'm going in for it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love the balance of the sweetness of the pumpkin coming together with the saltiness of the Pecorino Romano, along with the spiciness of the sausage, adding in a little bit of that crunch at the very end with the nut. If you like this video, please like it. Also subscribe to my channel. Creamy pumpkin pasta with spicy Italian sausage. I will see you next time. Go make it at home. Enjoy.